Hello, my name is Andrea Young and I'm the Digital Content Specialist of WorkSource Georgia. On behalf of WorkSource Georgia, welcome to this training. Today, we will be reviewing when, what, and how to determine whether or not a youth participant lives in a high poverty area. As WIOA Title I youth practitioners, it is important for us to have a clear understanding of the eligibility requirements and options allowed by the legislation when serving youth participants. Some of these eligibility requirements are straightforward and others a bit more complicated. However, it is our responsibility to understand them all so we can facilitate the participation of young men and women with barriers to employment. In some regards, WIOA makes low-income determination for the Title I youth program more complex than previously under WIA. The good news is the added complexity creates a means for more potentially at-risk youth to be eligible for services, and with less documentation from the participant required. Now, the youth does not need to be low-income him or herself, just that they live in a county or census tract that has a high poverty rate. The first step in the process of determining a youth's potential eligibility for services is to ask yourself, is the prospective participant an in-school youth or an out-of-school youth? If an in-school youth, each participant must meet the definition of low income in addition to one or more barriers to employment. If an out-of-school youth, there are only two instances where they must be defined as low income to be eligible. The first is if the out-of-school youth has a high school diploma or its equivalent and is either basic skills deficient or an English language learner. The second instance is if the out-of-school youth's only barrier is that they require additional assistance to either start or complete an educational program or to secure or hold a job. In summary, only some out-of-school youth and all in-school youth will need to be determined low income as part of the intake process. Now that we understand when we need to verify and document low-income status of youth, we are going to explain what it is we can now do for determining low-income status without needing any more information or documentation from the participant than his or her home address. Yes, that is right, only their home residential address, because the law now allows a definition of low income based on whether or not the youth is living in a high poverty area. WIOA Regulation 20 CFR 681.260 defines high poverty area as a census tract, county, or defined statistical area of continuous census tracts that have a poverty rate of at least 25% in the most recently published year of the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey 5-year data series. In addition to the CFR, for additional information, you can also review TEGL 21-16, its Attachment 2, and Exchange 1 for full official information regarding determining if the youth is living in a high poverty area for eligibility purposes. Now that we discuss the when and what of determining a high poverty area, I will now explain the how. We will now cover a 3-step process for determining whether a participant's home is in a high poverty area. However, as we will explain before starting step 3, that third step is only necessary when the larger geography of the county proves to not be a means of confirming eligibility for the participant. Note, this training video focuses on determining the poverty rate of the census tract or county area. Identifying the rate of continuous census tracts will be covered in a later training. As we know, documenting for data validation is always important to our work. So included in this training will not just be the process steps, but also when and what to save in order to document your findings for data validation purposes. And this video will include occasional keynotes for you to keep in mind in this work. For example, for our first keynote, you will want to keep in mind that the annual updates for the county and census tract poverty rates are published each December. Each time you are confirming a new participant's potential eligibility, you will want to follow the steps of this video in order to be sure you are always using the most recent poverty rates as of that day. Step 1. To start, it is always worthwhile to take a moment to confirm the county location of the participant's home address for occasions when the participant cannot reliably self-report for whatever reason. For example, if they live close to the border of 2 counties. There are a number of authoritative ways to confirm an address's county location. In this video, we will follow the process outlined in Workforce GPS's published directions for this process. To start, go to the Workforce GPS website. In the search bar, type Directions for Determining, and the page regarding high poverty areas will be the first result. Click on the document name, and when the new page opens, scroll down until in the left-hand screen column you see Related Content. Under that header, click on the link to the PDF, Directions for Determining Whether a Youth Lives in a High Poverty Area, to find this helpful printed description of the process we will be guiding you through in this training video. Within this document, scroll to the bottom of page 1 and click on the link that starts with Geocoding. At the link, first enter the house number and street name of the participant's home. Be sure you are not using a possibly different mailing address, instead that you are definitely using the primary residence's address. I will use our office's address for this illustration. You can skip city and state, but I would definitely be sure to include zip code in case there is a similar street name elsewhere in the country. After clicking Get Results, scroll down to see all of the address-specific content specific to the participant's residence. Once you see the header counties, stop and look at the last line. Name DeKalb County. You have now confirmed the county location of the residence. Now, before you leave this page, it is very important to remember data validation, and you will be relieved you pause here to confirm the census tract before leaving the page if you need that after learning the county proves to have a low poverty rate. To confirm the census tract before leaving this page, continue to scroll until you see the header Census Tracts. Look at the last line and make note of the number, which for our office is 214.10. Now for data validation evidence, you will print PDF this webpage. This process may vary by your choice of browser. In this training, we will use Google Chrome. Click on the 3 dots in the top right corner, then in the drop-down menu, click on Print. For destination, you will click on Save as PDF. If that option does not appear in the list on your computer, you will want to seek assistance from your IT support. Now it's time to save your PDF. Choose a folder to save the new PDF document from which it will be easiest to grab later in order to save in the participant's record in the WorkSource Georgia portal for data validation evidence. Step 2. Now to check the poverty rate for this address. Go to this link found in the Workforce GPS Direction Guide near the bottom of page 3. On the census page, scroll to where it says Select a Geography Type and click County. In the underneath drop-down box, scroll to then click on Georgia. A new drop-down menu will appear, and then you want to scroll and click on County, which in this example is DeKalb. Once it appears, click on the green box that says Narrative Profile. When the narrative profile appears, to have less scrolling, you can first click Close All. Then scroll until you see Poverty and Participation in Government Programs and click on that. You'll see the first bar of the chart is the county's poverty rate, 14.4%. Because that is lower than the 25% requisite threshold, this has not proven to be a high poverty area. It is tempting to review the children under 18 years, but that is not the correct bar for confirming the poverty rate of the county as directed by ETA. You will need just the first one for people in poverty. Step 3. Now to check the census tract since the county did not prove to be a high poverty area. Scroll back up the page until you see the green box Change Geography and click on it. This time, instead of county, click on census tract. Again, click Georgia in the initial drop-down menu, and click on DeKalb County in the second drop-down menu that appears. This time you'll see a third drop-down box where you'll click on the census tract you made note of when you confirmed it in the prior step. So here I'm going to find 214.10 and click on that. And then click on the narrative profile when its green box appears. Again, I find it easier to click Close All, then scroll to the poverty rates header. Here the first bar identifies the census tract's poverty rate as 17.2%, which is also too low to label this area as a high poverty area. Therefore, this participant cannot be considered low income for eligibility purposes based on the high poverty area definition. You can next work with the participant to see if they may fit the WIOA definition of personally being low income for eligibility purposes. A frequently asked question we receive is, can the published poverty rate be rounded? The answer is no. Let us look at Calhoun County. This county's rate is 24.9% and would not be considered high poverty because this is below the 25% cutoff. However, when you look at the census tract level, looking at the first one, 9501, scroll down and it is 13.3%, obviously not high poverty. Then looking at their next one, 9502, the rate is quite high, 30.2%. So if the participant's address was in tract 9502, then they would meet the definition of low income based on living in a high poverty area. Now stop here to remember to print as a PDF this page to save it to attach to the participant record in the portal for validation purposes. Again, you can do that by going to the print feature in your preferred browser and save to your computer to add on the portal as soon as you get a chance. Thank you for your attention as we progress through this video. If you have any questions about the content of this video, or if you would like to request further technical assistance on this topic, please contact Dana Brewer, our Senior Data Manager, at dbrewer@tcsg.edu or 404-938-7732. Thank you and have a great day.